Good morning, great Americans. Happy Passover to all our Jewish friends. Happy holy, blessed Holy Week, and Easter's coming up this Sunday. Here's a flashback to an Easter video I made a year ago. Good morning, great Americans. It's another great American video on this Easter or Pascha Sunday morning, 2024. Happy Easter and blessed Pascha. So this is just a super quick video, not one of my long videos. I just want to say a couple of things, a note about Easter, and a quick political note. I always have to throw in a political note because that's that's what my videos are all about. But as the title, this is just an interesting note about Easter. As the title says, Pascha, so something very interesting about the word Easter. The word Easter has always bothered me because it doesn't represent what Easter is all about. Easter, so so you know, Jesus Christ was born, lived, and crucified in the greater area around Jerusalem, Judea. He was born in Bethlehem. Mary is from Nazareth. He went to the River Jordan for baptism. He was crucified outside the walls of Jerusalem. So that's the area where he's from. But of course, Christianity spread, and one place it spread to was Rome. And then God, in his infinite wisdom, used the evil Roman Empire to actually spread Christianity rapidly, because the Romans had a great network of roads and communications, and so Christianity spread rapidly throughout the Roman Empire. And then, of course, eventually the Roman Empire itself became Christian. And around the 4th century is when the first complete Bible was translated into the language of the people. So obviously the language of the people of the Roman Empire at that time was Latin, and St. Jerome translated the first full complete Bible with Old Testament and New Testament into that language, the language of the people, Latin. So that's called the Vulgate. But I digress. Anyway, my point is that Latin is the language of the Roman Empire, and that's in the church, and that's why the Catholic Church still puts out all of its documents and stuff in Latin first, and then translates it into other languages. Well, what is Easter in Latin? It's Pascha. Why? Because it comes to us from the word Passover. That's why Jesus was in Jerusalem. He entered for the Passover week. He celebrated the Passover. And then, of course, for us Christians, he perfected the Passover, right? He became the lamb that was slaughtered, all right? And then in the Passover meals, the Jews have to drink the wine. They eat the Seder meal. They have to eat the lamb without blemish. Jesus is now the lamb. It's all around the perfection of the Passover. And in continuation of this, the church continued to call it the Pascha. So really, Easter really is Passover perfected by Jesus. So we no longer have to actually slaughter a lamb, and we no longer have to slaughter animals for sins. Jesus is the sacrifice, but it's still the Passover. It's the perfected Passover. So that's important to know. And so in Latin, the word Easter is Pascha. So why do we say Easter? Why? Why do we say Easter? Well, unfortunately, Easter, the word Easter comes down to us, not from the Latin countries. So if you go to people that speak, if you ever notice the Italian language, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, and others are very similar, and German and English and all that are very different. That's because German and English and all that were outside of the empire. They come from the barbarians. And the barbarians believed in the false god of ostrich. And so that's where Easter comes from. I don't know why we call it Easter in English language. I have no idea. But if you're a Catholic, you ever notice every once in a while you see the word Paschal in the liturgy? It talks about the Paschal celebration, the Paschal lamb. That's that word coming down to us in the liturgy, the Pascha. That's really what it is. So why we call it Easter, I have no idea. I really don't like it. I prefer the word Pascha because it really represents what this week is all about. So today is the day that Jesus rose from the dead. And I want to say blessed Pascha to everybody. And hopefully this. Yeah, that was a year ago on Easter, or Pascha, blessed Pascha for Passover week. So after that point of the video, it went into a lot of politics, but things have changed. Some things have changed for the good, and some things have changed for the bad. The good is that we won the first major battle for the ongoing civil war, and that was to get Trump elected. But remember, as I've said in many videos, that is just the first battle in an ongoing war. If I was going to compare it to World War II, I would say that Trump getting elected would be the equivalent of D-Day. So D-Day was a big day. But if you study World War II, remember what happened after D-Day. We had many setbacks. There were actually a couple times when people thought we would still lose the war, like when the Battle of the Bulge happened and stuff like that. So it's a big day, but in World War II, did the soldiers just kick back after D-Day and said, hey, that's it, we invaded, it's all over? Oh, heck no. That was just the beginning. After D-Day is when the real fighting started. And likewise, after Trump's victory, that's just the beginning. I have several videos on that. I hope you watch. It's called, The Battle is Won, the War. I can't even remember what they're called. The war has just begun. Stay the course. I've got 3 videos on that. But I don't want to get into that too much right now. What I do want to get into is I have 2 videos sort of pertinent to the political/religion issue. 2 videos. One of them is called Catholics Wake Up. And then there's one called Catholics Wake Up Part 2. And I invite all Christians. You don't have to be Catholic to watch this, man. I'd really like all Christians and people of faith to watch it because it's very, very important. And finally, in closing, I just want to say one thing, one more sort of political/religious thing. And that is, it is arguable what is the worst sin in the Bible, right? Is it murder? Is it some other, there's people say it's something about, denying the Holy Spirit. It's arguable what to say is the worst sin, but one thing is for sure. Jesus made it plain and clear that if you hurt little children and you lead little children into sin, you're in big trouble. Big, big trouble. He said that you'll wish that you had a stone tied around your neck and you were thrown into the ocean rather than what's going to happen to you. You're in big trouble. If you hurt little ones, but more importantly, you lead little ones into sin. I tell you what, the war on children that is waged by the left is real, and it's horrible, and it's disgusting. It's quasi-pedophilic. They're grooming kids in school. It's all kinds of things. And so I want to leave with this message of, even though it's the Easter week and that's the big day for the Christians, and it's also Passover for the Jews, I don't think there's anything going on right now for the Muslims, but I want to say this. Even though we have big differences with Muslims and Jews and Christians, I think we can all say that we don't want sick, disgusting perverts filling our children's minds with filth and porn and garbage. I'm pretty sure the Muslims are on board with that, right? And so I would call all people of faith, Muslim, Jewish, and Christian, to at least come together on one topic. And if we did, it would be a mighty powerhouse. Come together on the one topic of the grooming of children in schools. The left and how they groom children. They teach them about changing their pronouns. They teach them about homosexuality, transgenderism. They hide stuff from the parents. They keep the parents in secret. This is all stuff happening in schools. They put up the gay flag and the transgender flag. They celebrate pride and I'm talking about little kids. Of course, it's bad. Any kid under 18, they shouldn't be doing that. But they really target the little children because that's what the devil does. He targets the children because they're susceptible, right? It's almost an analogy to the story of the what was that story about the Hansel and Gretel? And they find a house made of candy, right? Children like candy, and they go in this house made of candy, and it turns out that the woman there is the witch, and she's going to cook them and eat them. That's pretty horrible. But the thing is that they entice children with stuff, and that's what the devil does. And the children is always the target of the devil. So I call on all three religions to get together on this one topic of purging the schools. Now, I understand a lot of Muslims use Muslim schools, and you got to give them credit, man. I mean, it's like the heck with the public school. We have our own schools. That's what Catholics do too, but they're not so intense about it. And unfortunately, there are no few Catholic schools that have also corrupted themselves into all this garbage. So that's a shame. But I call, I call on all people of faith, Catholic, Jewish, and Christians, Protestant and Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, to come together and fight the war on children. So I'm going to put another link in the video. It's about Robbie Starbuck has a documentary called The War on Children. Um, uh, and, and it's really good, and everybody should watch it. And just remember, it's all on the Democrats. No Christian, no Catholic, no Protestant, no Jew, and no Muslim can ever vote for these evil, horrible Democrat Party because they target the children with sexual perversion and pornography, and nobody can. I mean, I can name a million reasons not to vote for them, but in this religious context, that's the only one I need. I can give you more about abortion and gay marriage and all that kind of stuff, but this one is the worst, and this is the one I need. The only one I need. Their war on children is horrible. It's disgusting. It's pedophile-ish. It's perverted. It's happening very often behind the backs of parents, and it has to come to a stop. Uh, uh, I'm also going to put a link to a discussion thread about it, and there's just tons. You'll see when you see all the stuff posted in that thread, all the different articles, and coming from the mouths of the teachers themselves. This is why the libs of TikTok got really big, is because these perverted, sick, degenerate teachers actually had the balls to get onto TikTok and say what they're doing. It's all out of their own mouths. So check it out. Check out every link I put in here. And I apologize for digressing off the topic. But anyway, back to the main topic. Happy Paschal Sunday or Easter Sunday. Happy Pascha. And for our Jewish friends, happy Passover. And that's the most important day on the Christian calendar, the day that Christ rose from the dead. That was the day that it all started. Have a great week, and I will see you in the next Great American Video. Adios, muchachos.